I knew my marriage was over the moment I noticed the second toothbrush, and it wasn't mine. I'm still trying to process how something so small could unravel 20 years of my life. I'm 52. My wife just turned 50. We've been together since our late 20s. We built everything from scratch: a house, routines, inside jokes. Even the silence between us used to feel comfortable. At least it used to. Things started changing a few months ago, but not in a dramatic, obvious way. It was subtle. Too subtle, honestly. That's probably why I ignored it for so long. She started going out more. Not with friends I knew, just people from work. She dressed differently too. Not inappropriate, but tighter clothes, more attention to her hair, makeup, even when she was just running errands. I remember joking once, "Who are you trying to impress?" And she snapped back way harder than expected. That was the first moment something felt off. Then came the phone. She used to leave it everywhere. Kitchen counter, couch, even bathroom sometimes. Suddenly it was glued to her. Screen always down. Password changed. If I walked into the room, she'd subtly tilt it away. Not obvious enough to call out, but enough to notice. I asked her about it once. She laughed. Actually laughed. "You're being paranoid," she said. "What, you think I'm cheating now? At my age?" That line stuck with me. At my age. Like it was ridiculous. Impossible. Like I was the crazy one. So I dropped it. But the feeling didn't go away. It grew. I started noticing gaps in her stories. She'd say she was at work late, but her car mileage didn't match. She'd say she was meeting a friend, but couldn't remember simple details when I asked later. Little things. Always little things. And every time I tried to push a bit further, she'd explode. Not just defensive, aggressive. Accusing me of not trusting her. Of being insecure. Of looking for problems where there are none. At one point she even said, "Maybe you're the one hiding something." That one hurt. Because I wasn't. I was just trying to understand why the woman I'd spent 2 decades with suddenly felt like a stranger in my own house. Then came the day I couldn't ignore it anymore. It was a Tuesday. Nothing special. She told me she had a late meeting and wouldn't be home until after 9. I believed her. Or at least, I pretended to. Around 7 p.m., I realized I'd forgotten my wallet at home after leaving work early. So I drove back. I didn't think anything of it, just annoyed at myself. When I walked into the house, it was quiet. Too quiet. No lights on, which made sense, until I noticed something strange in the hallway. A pair of sneakers. Not mine. They were clean. New. Definitely not my size. My first thought was stupid, maybe someone came by. A repair guy? A neighbor? But then I heard something. A sound from upstairs. Not loud. Just movement. My heart started pounding in a way I can't really describe. It wasn't anger yet. It was something worse, that sinking feeling in your chest when your brain already knows the answer, but you're still hoping you're wrong. I walked up the stairs slowly. Each step felt heavier than the last. And then I saw it. The bedroom door was slightly open. I didn't rush in. I didn't yell. I just stood there for a second, staring at that gap, listening. 2 voices. Her voice. Softer than I'd heard it in months. And a man's voice. Yum. That's the part that hit me first. Not just another guy. A young guy. I don't even remember opening the door fully. 1 second I was standing there, the next I was inside the room. And everything just stopped. She looked at me like she'd seen a ghost. He froze. And in that moment, every lie, every weird look, every defensive reaction finally made sense. But what messed me up the most wasn't just what I saw. It was how quickly her expression changed. From shock to anger. Like I was the one who did something wrong. I don't remember screaming. I don't remember saying anything at all at first. I just stood there, staring at them, trying to connect the person in front of me with the woman I had spent half my life with. She was the first to move. Not to cover herself. Not to apologize. To get angry. "What the hell are you doing here?" she snapped, like I had just broken into someone else's house. That's when something inside me shifted. I actually laughed. Not because anything was funny, but because my brain couldn't process the level of insanity I was witnessing. "I live here," I said. My voice sounded distant, like it wasn't even mine. "What are you doing?" The guy. He couldn't have been older than 25, grabbed his clothes and started scrambling around, clearly panicking. He kept looking at her like he was waiting for instructions, like she was in control of the situation. That told me everything I needed to know. This wasn't some random mistake. This had been going on. For a while. Relax, she said to him, completely ignoring me for a second. Just get dressed. Relax. I'll never forget that word. I felt something hot rise in my chest, anger, humiliation, disbelief, all mixing together into something I couldn't control anymore. Are you serious right now? I said louder. You're telling him to relax? In my house? That's when she turned to me, rolling her eyes like I was being dramatic. Oh my God, don't start, she said. This is exactly why I didn't want you to find out like this. Didn't want me to find out like this. Not. I'm sorry. Not. I messed up. Just inconvenience. Like I had interrupted something. The guy finally managed to put on his jeans and grabbed his shoes. He looked at me for a second, clearly unsure whether he should say something. He didn't. He just muttered, I'm gonna go, and rushed past me like I was invisible. I didn't stop him. I didn't even look at him. Because at that moment, he wasn't the problem. She was. The door slammed downstairs, and suddenly it was just the two of us. 20 years of marriage standing in one room, and it felt like I was looking at a stranger. I expected tears. I expected guilt. I expected something human. Instead, she crossed her arms and sighed like she was the one dealing with a headache. Well, this is awkward, she said. Awkward. That word hit harder than anything else so far. Awkward? I repeated. You're cheating on me with a kid in our bedroom, and your problem is that it's awkward? She threw her hands up. Can you stop overreacting for 2 seconds? She snapped. It's not like this just came out of nowhere. That's when I felt it, that sharp, painful twist in my chest. What does that even mean? I asked. It means, she said, stepping closer, her voice rising, that you've been distant for years. You don't pay attention to me, you don't make me feel anything anymore, and suddenly you care because you caught me? I stared at her, completely stunned. Years? We ate dinner together almost every night. We watched shows together. We talked, or at least I thought we did. You never said anything, I said quietly. Oh please, she scoffed. I shouldn't have to say it. You're my husband, you're supposed to notice. There it was. The justification. The shift. Suddenly, this wasn't about what she did. It was about what I didn't do. I felt anger bubbling up again, but this time it was colder. More controlled. So your solution, I said slowly, was to sleep with someone half your age behind my back? She didn't even hesitate. It just happened, she said. That lie. That pathetic, overused lie. It just happened. Like it was an accident. Like she slipped and fell into someone else's bed. I shook my head. No, I said. You don't accidentally build a second life. You don't accidentally bring someone into our house. Her eyes narrowed. Don't act like you're perfect, she fired back. I'm not the only one who checked out of this marriage. That one actually hurt more than everything else. Because part of me, a small, stupid part, started questioning it. Was I blind? Did I miss something? But then I remembered the lies. The secrecy. The way she looked at me like I was crazy for even asking questions. No. This wasn't mutual. This was betrayal. You lied to me, I said, my voice lower now. For how long? She hesitated. Just for a second. But I saw it. And that hesitation told me the answer was worse than anything she could say out loud. Why does it matter? She said finally, avoiding the question. That was it. That was the moment something inside me broke completely. Because if it didn't matter to her, then neither did I. I felt the anger fade, replaced by something heavier. Something colder. Get out, I said. She blinked. What? Get out, I repeated louder this time. Pack your things and leave. Now she laughed. Actually laughed. Oh, so now you're kicking me out of my house, she said. Our house. The one we built together. The one I paid most of. But suddenly it was hers. You lost that right the moment you brought him here, I said. Her expression changed again, that familiar shift from arrogance to pure hostility. You don't get to control me, she snapped. I'm not going anywhere. And just like that, I realized this wasn't over. Not even close. Because she wasn't sorry. She wasn't ashamed. She was ready to fight. I didn't sleep that night. Not even for a minute. She stayed in the bedroom like nothing had happened. I could hear her moving around, opening drawers, closing them, pacing. And at some point, she started talking on the phone. Quietly. Like she didn't want me to hear. But I heard enough. "It's fine," she whispered. "He found out, but it's not a big deal. I'll handle it." Not a big deal. I sat in the living room, staring at the wall, replaying everything over and over again. The shoes. The voices. The way she looked at me, not with guilt, but with irritation. Like I was an inconvenience. Around 3 a.m., I got up and started walking through the house. I don't even know why. Maybe I was looking for answers. Maybe I just needed to move. That's when I started noticing things I had ignored before. Little details. A second coffee mug in the sink, not from earlier that day, but from previous days. I recognized the pattern. I always used the same one. This wasn't it. A jacket in the closet that wasn't mine. I had seen it before, but I assumed it was old or something she bought for me and I forgot about. It wasn't. It was his. Then I checked the bathroom. That's where it hit me again. The toothbrush. Not just one. Two. One was hers. The other, definitely not mine. And it wasn't new either. It had been there long enough to be used regularly. That's when the timeline in my head started stretching. This wasn't recent. This wasn't a mistake. This had been happening right under my nose for weeks, maybe months. In my house. In my space. While I was going to work, thinking everything was fine. I leaned against the sink and just stood there, staring at it. That's when the anger came back. Stronger than before. But this time, it wasn't explosive. It was focused. Cold. I went back to the bedroom and opened the door. She was sitting on the bed, scrolling through her phone like it was just another normal night. She looked up, annoyed. "What now?" she said. That tone. That attitude. Like I was the problem. "How long?" I asked. She sighed loudly. "Are we really doing this right now?" "How long?" I repeated. She rolled her eyes, but this time she didn't answer immediately. She looked away. And that silence told me everything. "Well," I said quietly. "So it's that bad." "Oh my God!" she snapped. "Why does it matter? It's not like it changes anything. It changes everything." But I didn't say it. Because I realized something in that moment. She wasn't going to tell me the truth. Not fully. Not honestly. Every answer would be twisted, minimized, or turned back on me. So I changed the question. "Does he know you're married?" I asked. She hesitated again. "Yeah," she said. "He knows." That made it worse somehow. "So he's just okay with it," I said. She shrugged. "He's not the one with the problem right now." I stared at her. And for the first time in my life, I didn't recognize the person in front of me. No empathy. No remorse. Just selfishness. "You brought him here," I said slowly. "Into our house. Into our bed." She stood up abruptly. "Stop saying it like that," she snapped. "You're trying to make it sound worse than it is." Worse than it is. I actually felt something inside me go completely numb. "I don't have to try," I said. "You already did that." For a second, neither of us said anything. The silence felt heavier than any argument. Then she shook her head and grabbed her phone again. "I'm not doing this all night," she said. "I'm tired." That was it. That was the moment I understood something clearly. She wasn't going to fight for this marriage. She wasn't even going to acknowledge what she had destroyed. To her, this was just an inconvenience. A situation to manage. Not a life to grieve. I turned around and walked out of the room. And as I stood in the hallway, something inside me finally settled. Not anger. Not sadness. Something else. Clarity. For weeks, maybe months, I had been questioning myself. Wondering if I was overthinking, if I was paranoid, if I was missing something. But now I knew. I wasn't crazy. I wasn't insecure. I was right. And that realization, it hurt. But it also freed me. Because once you see the truth clearly, you can't unsee it. And you stop making excuses. That night, I didn't try to fix anything. I didn't argue anymore. I didn't ask more questions. I just sat there, waiting for morning. Because I knew one thing for sure now. This wasn't something that could be repaired. This was something that had to end. Morning didn't feel like a new start. It felt like the end finally catching up. I made coffee out of habit, even though I couldn't drink it. My hands were steady, but everything inside me felt empty. Not broken anymore. Just drained. She came downstairs like it was any other day. No tears. No regret. No hesitation. Are we still doing this? She asked, grabbing a cup like nothing had happened. That question told me everything. Not, can we talk? Not, I'm sorry. Just, inconvenience again. I looked at her for a long second before answering. No, I said. We're not doing this anymore. She frowned. What is that supposed to mean? It means I'm done, I said calmly. With this. With you. With whatever this marriage has become. For a moment, she didn't react. Then came the laugh. Sharp. Dismissive. You're being dramatic, she said. You're really going to throw away 20 years over this? Over this. I almost smiled. Don't do that, I said quietly. Don't reduce what you did to this. You didn't just cheat. You lied. You hid it. You brought him into our home. You turned me into a stranger in my own life. Her expression hardened. So what, you're perfect, she shot back. You think you didn't push me to this? There it was again. Blame. Deflection. Anything but accountability. I shook my head. I might not be perfect, I said. But I didn't betray you. Silence filled the kitchen for a few seconds. Then she crossed her arms. So what now? She asked. You're just going to kick me out? No, I said. We're going to do this properly. Lawyers. Divorce. Everything. That word hit differently. Divorce. For the first time, I saw something change in her face. Not sadness. Not regret. Fear. Wait, she said quickly. You're overreacting. We can fix this. Now she wanted to fix it. Not when she was lying. Not when she was sneaking around. Only now, when consequences were real. It's too late, I said. No, it's not, she insisted, stepping closer. We've been through too much. You don't just walk away. I looked at her. Really looked at her. And I realized something that hurt more than anything else. I wasn't losing her. I had already lost her a long time ago. I just didn't know it. You already walked away, I said. I'm just catching up. She opened her mouth, but nothing came out. For once, she didn't have a comeback. I turned and walked out of the kitchen, grabbing my keys. Where are you going? She asked. To get a lawyer, I said without stopping. And that was it. No dramatic goodbye. No shouting. No last-minute confession. Just an ending. The next few weeks were messy. Arguments. Paperwork. More lies from her side, even when everything was already out in the open. She tried to twist the story, make it seem like we both failed equally. But the truth doesn't disappear just because someone refuses to face it. And eventually, everything settled. The house. The finances. The divorce. It was final. I won't lie and say it was easy. There were nights I sat alone and questioned everything. Wondered how I missed it. Wondered if I could have done something differently. But then I remembered that toothbrush. Those shoes. That moment in the doorway. And I stopped blaming myself. Because trust isn't something you slowly lose. It's something someone chooses to break. If you're reading this and something feels off in your relationship, don't ignore it like I did. Don't let someone convince you that you're crazy for noticing the truth. Because sometimes, the smallest signs are the loudest warnings. And the longer you ignore them, the harder it is to walk away when everything finally falls apart.